The bit we never got to do with River, which would have been a terrific scene. We cut to Christopher Eccleston at the climax of the Time War, saying, "Should I operate the moment?"
Did the idea of crossing over Sherlock and Doctor Who come up?
It came up every second. Everybody wanted us to do it.
Hello and welcome back to the Whoniverse Show. Coming up in this month's episode, we've got the man, the moth, the legend himself, Steven Moffat is here to talk about life after showrunning, where our favourite companions are now, and River Song 3D printing herself. With Doctor Who finding a new streaming home in the US on AMC+, we'll be revisiting the Moffat era with 3 favourite stories. Plus, Prop of the Month is back, and for once Steven will be the one trying to uncover a mystery. Literally, it's under a blanket. In the studio this week, I'm joined by producer, writer and showrunner extraordinaire, Steven Moffat is here. Yeah. Did you like that? Bit of applause.
I was absolutely thrilled. In fact, that's me done. That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Good to
Bye.
see you.
Yeah.
See you later. So you were showrunner for a decade. Which was...
If they're 7 years long these days, but yeah.
Okay, maths has never been my strong point. But going from that sort of showrunner role to watching it again as a fan, what is that experience like?
It's kind of weird at first. I asked Russell what it would be like. And it is just weird, because they just carry on making the show as if nothing had happened. Just the sheer spectacle of people getting over you just fine is maybe not your favourite thing. But then quite quickly, you just start watching it again. And you know, my anxiety about it is always, is this new Doctor going to work?
Right.
And it was Jodie for the first time. I was sort of just anxious as a fanboy. Is that going to work? Is it going to work? Is Jodie going to... So I was just hugely relieved when she does the first scene on the train. I thought, all right, yep, we got it. We're in. That totally works.
Do you find yourself sort of watching the episodes and thinking, oh, I would have tweaked that. Maybe I would have done that.
Yes, but those are usually mine. Not very often. I'm quite good at just getting involved in a TV show and not spending all my time rewriting it. I get enough of that during the day. When I sit down in the evening, I'd rather just watch the telly.
And you mentioned Jodie there. Obviously, like the Weeping Angels appeared in Jodie's era during Flux. Was that exciting to see them back on the screen again?
Yes, it's weird. There's a weird rule that both Russell and I developed individually. And we agreed that this is the case, this is just true. You don't believe a Doctor Who story really happened until it's mentioned in somebody else's Doctor Who story.
Right.
It becomes canonized by the show itself. So the fact that the Weeping Angels had an existence beyond me made them real, which I liked. Yeah, I loved it when anything from my time was mentioned. I just thought, oh look, they mentioned my monster on Doctor Who, and then I think, yeah, well, they also had my monster on Doctor Who, so what the hell?
Does it ever sort of like switch off, or do you find yourself just like coming up with ideas for Doctor Who monsters? Oh,
I've been doing that since I was 8, so that's unlikely to stop. There was just a period of my life when I made the BBC do it. You know, that has never ended.
Well, that period sort of continues because you have also written for Ncuti's era as well. What was that like coming back into the show?
Well, it was fun. I mean, I would not have done that except for the unpredictable circumstance that Russell and Julie and Phil and Jane all came back, and I thought, well, it's 2005 again. Well, I better go and join in, hadn't I? So I wasn't initially going to do it. Then I came up with an idea, and Russell liked it, so I did boom. And then I did the second one because Russell said, I've run out of time to do Christmas. Could you do Christmas? And I thought, oh, I can't say no to that. It wasn't a new production team. It was the ones I started with. And those days that I thought would never come again were suddenly there. And if you're offered a return trip to the golden summer of 2005 when you were so happy, then you take it.
There's a nostalgia to it.
Oh, of course there is. Massive nostalgia.
Let's talk about the Moffat era, your era of the show. Do you have a particular favourite or a least favourite episode, or are they sort of all your children?
Truthfully, it's not like that. We worked incredibly hard on every single episode. Some of them work better than others. Doctor Who is so massively complicated that you need so many different elements to be right. You can have a Doctor Who episode can be destroyed by bad weather. You couldn't film outside when you needed to. There's so many things that have to go right for a Doctor Who to be really terrific and it's comparatively easy for a Doctor Who episode to be a bit of a dud if the monster doesn't quite work and you didn't get the cast you wanted and you didn't get the location you wanted and someone was ill and you lost out in rehearsal or whatever. It can be so an episode can drop down a bit, but I was often wrong about which ones were going to be big hits and which ones were going to be not so loved. So I don't think my opinion matters very much. I basically loved it all because I worked on it all.
Maybe a better way to ask that question is there one that is particularly underrated to you, where you're like, oh, I think this should get a little bit more love?
I always kind of hate saying something's underrated that I did because it sounds like a plea for more applause or something.
We can do more applause, can't we, everyone? That was a cue for you to applaud.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I think, all right, if I was going to answer that one, I think, and I will be traduced before this, I would say that maybe The Husbands of River Song is a cleverer show than it gets credit for being. Because a load of it is just a silly monster chase with a big daft robot. But it is actually quite a complicated little love story where two people don't really believe the other loves them. And I thought that was rather good. It was one of my favourites.
I would agree with that. I think it is good. And I think characters like River, you've created some amazing companions. And I believe once you said that the story sort of continues in your own imagination.
Yeah.
Can I ask you where you think some of the characters you've created are in your imagination?
Well, obviously, Rory and Amy carry on living in New York and have a very, very happy life. And they set out their Christmas meal every year with an extra plate for the Doctor.
I'll cry.
And then, of course, one Christmas, he just turns up and says, "You didn't believe all that, did you?" Shh, just don't tell anyone I was here. And they have a lovely Christmas meal.
Delightful. What about Clara and Ashilda in their big diner in the sky?
I think that's the one that I just don't want to know about, in a way, with Clara and Ashilda. I cannot imagine the moment when Clara decides, I have to go back to the street, that's the trouble, and die. Because I think she would just love flying that TARDIS too much, because that's what her nature is. But at the same time, she's a dutiful woman. So don't know. That's a hard one to think about. I think she had an awful lot of very amazing adventures. That's what I think, and we don't get to hear about them.
Where would you say the icon that is Bill Potts and Heather the Puddle? Where would you say they are?
Heather the Puddle. Where are they? I think she would go back to serving chips in the university, and Heather would just keep turning up saying, "Seriously?" And they'd have quite a tempestuous relationship. She'd have, Puddle Girl from space occasionally saying, "Do you want to just, all right, just this once, but really I want to get a degree." Okay, but I could just insert a degree in your head. No, you can't. That's not how relationships work. And they'd have had a very tempestuous, lifelong relationship where she's in love with Puddle Girl from space.
love
Obviously.
Heather the Puddle. Of course, why wouldn't you be? Alex Kingston was actually on the show a little while ago and spoke about the idea of River Song, the entity, 3D printing herself in the library. What do you think about that?
It's absolutely credible, and you could absolutely do it. You could bring back River. It wouldn't be that hard. I have a query as to whether River would actually want that. She says in Name of the Doctor, there has to be an end. Things have to end. It's the thing that the Doctor can never accept. The Doctor never accepts an ending. He's always trying to trick his way out of it, always. But River says, come on, nothing ever happens if nothing is ever over.
Yeah.
So I think she'd say no. Yeah, I know you could 3D print me. We could go back, you could 3D print two of me, and how happy would you be then, Doctor? But that's not what life is about. Life is occasionally about accepting that the sunset happens.
Yeah, it's nice. You've got to have the conclusion to enjoy.
But the Doctor
story.
doesn't believe that. The Doctor is mad, of course. But the Doctor believes you can outrun the sunset. He believes you can do it. The bit we never got to do with River, which would have been a terrific scene, but it's just a scene, it's not a story, is one day when River Song and the Doctor are living their lives on Beryllium. The message would go, the Doctor would realise the message is about to come through for River, and she'd get the message and say, come to the library. And he knows that's it, that when she leaves, he'll never see her again. That's the end of the story for him, but he can't let her know as she walks out the door that he's never going to see her again. Oof. So that would have been a great scene to do. Just, I've got to go to the library, it's one of your former selves, I don't know which one, I'll just go and see him. And he's going, what is it? Remind me? Oh, it's some library. And he goes, that's it. It ends here. And he can't show it. Capaldi could play the hell out of that.
Absolutely. You love a bit of heavy heartbreak. I feel like that's a consistent thread.
And gags. Heartbreak and gags.
Of course.
Yeah.
A little bit of levity. You've brought back some classic villains, and Russell's recently brought back Sutek and Omega. Are there any other sort of classic villains that you want to see return to the show?
It's an interesting one. I mean, my assessment of bringing back a classic villain was always on sort of two levels. One, is it one everyone's asking about? Now, there were a few. There are a few that you don't realise that everybody else does know about, the people who are not fans. Davros, the Master, the Daleks, the Cybermen. They're always going to ask about those. The question, however, there is another question to ask, is the idea so good it's worth resurrecting? Is that such a clever notion that it's worth another go? And if to bring another one back, I really hugely enjoyed the Patrick Troughton story, The Mind Robber. It was such a mad story, the land of fiction, and the rules of that story. When if you write something in advance of it happening, it becomes fiction and so on. I loved that. So maybe something around the Mind Robber, or what was behind all of that, might be fun. Maybe bring back something that was frankly a bit lame, and see if you can make it work. I think that'd be quite fun.
I think that'd be fun. When you think of the classic Doctor Who era, is there sort of a particular moment or episode that sticks out for you?
I think probably the absolute peak of my fascination with it, and I remained fascinated throughout its run, was the early Tom Baker years, which, looking back at them, were really, really terrific, and he was amazing. Honestly, amazing as the Doctor. One could argue, without being too much of a traitor, that maybe we never quite topped that version. He's such a brilliant Doctor. To this day, people think Doctor Who wears a long scarf, and he doesn't. He just once. So I was hugely excited by that. Other moments in it that really worked for me were, I remember when I was absolutely horrified when they cast Peter Davison. I was absolutely horrified. I was pompously declaring that he was far too young, said the man who would one day cast Matt Smith. And it wouldn't work. And I was so joyous when I saw him as the Doctor and realised, it absolutely does work. He's great. That meant a lot to me. And then a show came along at the beginning of Sylvester McCoy's second season called Remembrance of the Daleks. And I was elderly by then. I was doing press gang by then. And I remember going, oh wow, it's still got it. This is really, really good. There's some terrific stuff towards the end of Sylvester's run, or middle to the end.
Quite recently we saw a surprise sequel to Midnight. Are there any episodes that you feel like we need to return to and have a sequel episode?
I don't know. I mean, I'm always really, really cautious about sequel episodes, despite the many things I've done. You spend so much time explaining what that previous story was. It can be a little bit painful. It's a point that no one ever brings up, except me in the novelisation of Day of the Doctor, is what in the name of anything was going on in the 11th hour? What was the big eyeball thing? And what was Prisoner Zero in prison for? No one seemed to mind. Yeah. But what in the name of anything was going on? No one bothered to ask. And so maybe we should go back and finally figure out what Prisoner Zero was. Because I don't know.
You don't have any sort of like...
I don't know. It was all I was thinking of when I wrote that episode was, I want to introduce my 2 new heroes. In fact, secretly I was introducing 3 new heroes because Rory was there too, but we were pretending he wasn't a companion at that point. So I wanted to write as many scenes that would allow those heroes to flourish and demonstrate themselves. Which meant I was just looking for set piece after set piece that was really cool, that freshly revealed those characters. What I didn't really bother to do was work out a coherent plan for the villain to have. In my defense, what was the Nestine consciousness thinking of when it's saying the main way to conquer the world would to be pretend to be shop dummies? We've got to take out those shops first, that's our plan. What about the Cybermen locking themselves in the tombs? And not putting a handle on the inside of the door. So, I submit, quite often plans in Doctor Who are not very good.
So you've done a lot of shows subsequently that have involved previous cast members, and you are doing a new show where you are reuniting with Jenna.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's number 10. It's a fictional government in 10 Downing Street. We don't know which party it is. We never, like Yes Minister, we never refer to the party. And it's just the soap opera, the comedy soap opera, the comedy drama soap opera of that extraordinary house. It's ridiculous. It's the most. I've been there several times. It's a knock-through. Britain is run from a knock-through. Really. It's got 17 staircases. None of them are that good. The lift doesn't always work. The water's not that drinkable. The toilets frequently break down. And from this strange, shabby little street is run a world-beating country. I know we do ourselves in all the time, but what a dreadful place this is. It's not. And it's run from this daft street. What I mean by that is other countries are run from palaces and castles and big impressive buildings, but we're Brits. We run the country from a street with a big black door and a cat. That defines us, and I love that. Larry the cat, shout out to you. He's there.
Are we going to get a little cameo from Harriet Jones hiding in a cupboard, or a Slitheen under the floorboards? I don't think we've got, I regret to tell you, any Doctor Who references in it at all. Other than you've got Jenna Coleman, that's a big Doctor Who reference. She's probably a Clara Splinter, you know. So we've got a couple of fan questions for you. The first is from Amazing Bex, who asked, "Would you ever write another Target novel? I loved your last one." Well, I'm really glad Amazing Bex loved it, because I really loved writing it. It was the last thing I did on Doctor Who, and I thought it would be the last thing I ever did on Doctor Who. A frequently wrong prediction from me. So I just walked off this as a showrunner, and I wrote that book, and I went completely mad with it. It's really quite over the top, but I loved doing it. Would I ever do it again? I want to do something fun, something different, rather than just, put an episode on paper, because you can just go and watch it again. It's not like it used to be. Something like Silence in the Library. I always thought you could do Silence in the Library with the story of River and the Doctor meeting from his point of view for the first time. But someone, as they're running through the library, finds the book of the Husbands of River Song, and we intersperse the chapters, so you get the story of the first meeting and the last meeting in the one story. I thought that might be quite a meta thing to do, the kind of timey-wimey nonsense that appeals to me. We've got another question from J. McDonald, 1998, who says, "I recall you mentioned wishing you'd done more with the silence. What would you do with them?" I can't remember. What would I do? I think what I failed to do, having introduced this, I think, terrific monster, I failed just to have a story where there was a silence trapped in a castle somewhere and they're trying to find it. That would be so cool. Because you'd send out the search party and they'd come back and say, "We didn't see it." You wouldn't know it was there. It's just something where they were just used as a basic, straightforward Doctor Who creepy monster. We could have got 2 or 3 stories out of the silence, and I didn't do that. And that was silly. I should have. It's a great design, absolutely terrific, really, really scary. And their basic principle, you can't remember them. That's a great Doctor Who idea. So I should have done more. I really should have. There's still time. Never say never. You can borrow this when you do it. Lumos Cinemax asks, "What is your favourite piece of music from your era?" I'm not saying it's the best, though it might be, but my favourite piece is "I Am the Doctor."
I mean, it has to be, doesn't it? And there's loads of stuff that Murray came out with during my time. Beautiful stuff, amazing stuff. And the Shepherd's Boy from Heaven Sent is absolutely heartrending. But I Am the Doctor, the Doctor's own Bond theme.
Yeah.
I think that is sensational. I just think that's so exciting. It still makes my blood race to this day.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the piece of music that I most listen to when I need to be motivated.
Yeah, I know. It's great for that. It's great for that.
Yeah.
It's also great for, this scene isn't really working. Okay, let's just play I Am the Doctor very loudly over it and see if that makes it.
It builds the drama. Bad Wolf Archives has asked, did your recent guest writing experience feel different to season 1 to 4, having since been showrunner?
A little bit, but not as much as you'd think. Because one, the first time I was doing it, they let me do as much as I would do. I was at dubs and so on. I was a sort of kind of extra exec in a way, because when you're an overworked Doctor Who showrunner, you can't wait, trust me, for someone who's willing to do a bit more. You say, yeah, go, you go do it. And then and curiously enough, when I was writing for myself as showrunner, that wasn't that different either, because some days I'd be a writer and I'd try and focus that and just deliver a script, and other days I'd be a showrunner, which is trying to be across the whole show. See, I kind of had to separate them in my mind. When I'm sitting down and writing, I am writing. I'm not thinking about anything else. Russell says the same. There have to be days when that is what you're doing. You are writing, possibly rewriting. And some days you're doing all the other stuff. So, and then when I came back, well, they gave me my exec credit, bless them. They gave it back to me for my episodes, my 2 episodes I'm there as an exec. And it felt very much the same, but I would occasionally forget that I wasn't the showrunner anymore. So I would do things like, I remember one occasion we were all having a big meeting about Boom, and then we all went along the corridor to discuss the monster in Space Babies. And I just went along and I was holding forth, and suddenly I remembered, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not even involved in that episode. But no one queried the fact that I did it. And then I was in the tone meeting for Joy to the World, and we're talking about something we couldn't afford. And I said, oh, for God's sake, just do it, and I'll write a cheap one later, which is what I always used to do. And then I remembered, I'm not writing one later. So that doesn't work. So it was different, but not as different as you'd think. I always kept writing and show running a little bit separate, because you have to.
Old habits die hard. I like that. Robstagram96 has asked, quite personally, what's in your browser history?
All right, I'll tell you. Magic tricks, optical illusions.
Right.
I'm obsessed with those. So I just like trying to find out how magic tricks are done and try to learn them. I am, however, incredibly clumsy, and I blush when I lie. So I am the worst magician in the world. But I'm constantly trying to do magic tricks. I'm very, very bad at them.
Just like as a hobby?
Yeah. I've got a drawer full of magic tricks that can't work. Yeah, so you find a lot of magic tricks in my browser history, and you'd find a lot. I'm fascinated by optical illusions. I can't get enough of those.
We've got another question from Yoz2781. That's catchy. Hi, Stephen. Which was the hardest story you have written?
It's either The 11th Hour or The Day of the Doctor. The 11th Hour, obviously I'd been waiting all my life to get this opportunity to write in a new Doctor. And it was steep, weary work. It was so hard. I had a new companion and a new Doctor to do at the same time, which was doing my head in, and I just found it immensely difficult. And I'd always wanted to be the guy who introduced a new Doctor, and I found that murderous. But probably even harder than that was The Day of the Doctor, which was when I didn't know, well, Matt Smith was out of contract, David Tennant wanted to see a script, Christopher Eccleston wanted to see a script, so I got about 2/3 of the way through the script. Chris decided, in a very gentlemanly way, and he had warned me that he probably would decide this, not to do it. So I thought, okay, great. I mean, lovely Chris, but it was a pain. And then then David and Matt had sort of, it was quite funny because David was saying, yeah, you know, I'm just the comic relief. And Matt's saying, where's David got all the jokes? And I'm going, oh God, guys, you're sharing the part. You're sharing it. And so then I had to come up with this idea of, you know, the other Doctor, the unknown Doctor from history, which I think was a good idea. You're tweaking every last thing. So all you see is everything you weren't able to perfect. That's all you see of the show. And I don't just mean me, Marcus Wilson working his brains out, I'll watch my language, to make that show, and Nick Curran, everyone was feeling that. Just, we have to throw everything at it, with pretty much the normal budget for a Doctor Who episode. Yeah. But we had to give everyone a spectacular. It was very, very tough.
Well, I think you smashed it. You mentioned the original plan was to have Christopher Eccleston in that episode. What did that version of the episode look like?
Well, that 2/3 of it exist. It goes all the way to the end of the scene in the dungeon. So it's, and I think it's been out there. I think it's out there online somewhere. It's largely the same. It's more from the point of view of the Ninth Doctor, oddly enough. It starts with him. And the slight difference in emphasis, I think, was that he was debating whether or not to allow the future to happen. The way the Name of the Doctor would originally have ended, it would cut to Christopher Eccleston at the climax of the Time War, saying, "Should I operate the moment?" And the moment saying, "Well, I show you what would happen if you did." So it's as it was. It goes back in time and makes the Matt Smith and the David Tennant Doctor imaginary future Doctors who haven't properly happened yet. But it was otherwise largely the same. And I don't quite know how it would have ended.
Marco Ludemer asks, did the idea of crossing over Sherlock and Doctor Who come up at some point?
It came up every second. Everybody wanted us to do it. Everybody was going on and on and on about it. And I at one point was sort of saying to Mark, maybe we should do the comic relief sketch of it. And it was very close to happening. And Mark said, I think he's pretty right. Look, the moment we do it, it's not special anymore. As to how would you do it? Well, I'd love the meeting about the billing. Is it Benedict or Matt? I'd love that one. That'd be fantastic. And then how does Sherlock cope with the fact that time travel he now knows exists? Doesn't that change every case he then tries to solve? I don't think the two worlds are compatible. And they'd probably just have a big dust up in the TARDIS, both sulk and refuse to come out, because there was somebody else in the room who was maybe smarter than them.
Oh, I'd love to see them do a quiz against each other, though, to see who comes out on top.
Clara.
Very valid. Final fan question for you. Quinn Thomas 2450. What is the secret behind making everyday things so terrifying?
Well, those are the things that terrify us. I mean, we're not really terrified of monsters from space because there aren't any, right? I mean, you're not going to bump into one. That's just on the screen, but real fear, real things that really creep you out, there is always something of the nursery about them. Because that's when you were really afraid of shadows and piles of washing on a chair or the flickering tree branch on the window and all that. That's when those things were frightening. So you just remember what scared you when you were tiny. When everything scared you when you were tiny, that's why so much horror, so many ghost stories have, not just in Doctor Who, have just something of the nursery. Because that's the last time these days I'm an old man, so I'm frightened of going to the doctor. I'm frightened when the doctor clears his throat before he answers a question. I'm frightened of that sort of thing. I'm frightened that people I know might be ill. But as a child, I was frightened of moonlight shining through a window. So if you're doing that kind of story, in a way you're moving back to the ordinary world that once loomed over you so terrifyingly, and which you have now grown past and seen quite ordinary. You gain confidence at the expense of magic, of course.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Round of applause. Guys, honestly. That's really rude.
That's what it's always like towards the end of your era.
Yeah. Circuit Breaker begins this week with Calling the Doctor, an exclusive news story on the Unit HQ website written by Esme Jakiemi Pearson. After signing into the experience, fans can uncover why Osgood and her assistant Andrew have called in the fugitive Doctor for help, uncover secret Unit HQ files, Osgood's confidential documents, and more in Chapter 1 of Circuit Breaker, Calling the Doctor. Alongside the launch, brand new artwork has been released featuring the fugitive Doctor wielding a mysterious device known as the Resistor, plus a fresh look at Osgood and our first look at Omari Douglas as new unit recruit Andrew. Eagle-eyed fans may also spot a Sontaran, a Dalek saucer, and what appears to be a Cyberman transport ship hidden within the artwork. Circuit Breaker launches today and will continue through to September, culminating in a finale from Big Finish. Head to the Doctor Who website to learn more on how to follow the adventure. And finally, to celebrate 20 years of Series 2, a range of new merch has landed on the Doctor Who shop. Highlights include heartbreak-inducing mugs inspired by the root of all our childhood trauma, alongside designs featuring iconic Series 2 quotes, a tribute to the Ood, and a wonderfully stylish nod to Dalek Sec. Now, I'm delighted to say that Prop of the Month is back, and in honour of our guest, we're guessing a prop from one of your episodes. As ever, we get a prop from Doctor Who, place it under this stylish yet affordable bedsheet, and try to guess what it is for points. Do you like points?
Love points. God, that's what I live for.
Well, Russell is currently at the top of the leaderboard, so I feel like the competitive energy is going to kick in.
Well, I'm sure he can have the points. He doesn't even have an Emmy, Russell. I mean, jeez.
That's brutal. That sounds like fighting talk.
I'm getting him back for something. It's fine.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's get 90 seconds on the clock. And let's start guessing the prop.
Well, I didn't even see it.
So it's under here.
Okay.
First clue, it's a prop from Doctor Who.
Okay, right. I don't know.
Okay, it's handheld, I will say that.
Sonic screwdriver?
No, but
okay.
That sort of energy, it can be held in the hand, possibly by someone who could be called villainous.
Okay, is it, it's one of my episodes?
It is one of your episodes.
So it's a villain shooty thing from one of my episodes. That's probably too vague to count as a guess, isn't it? I don't know. What does the Master have? Does he have anything? She?
Oh. If you were faced with this, you'd have to say something nice.
Is it Missy's device that shoots people? The ornate device?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is that thing.
Okay, but I don't remember what that looked like.
It looks like this.
Okay, does it?
Without a bedsheet on it.
Can I see?
Reveal.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
I'm not sure I'd have recognised that if the cover hadn't been on it. In all honesty, I'm sorry. Oh, that's terrible.
I believe this was first seen in Dark Water.
Yes, Dark Water. Yeah. She got rid of Dr. Chang with it. Say something nice. I'm trying to remember why I made it like that. Did I make it like that because it was? I mean, it wasn't me that made it, but I mean, I probably suggested it looks a bit like a phone or something. I think was probably the idea, maybe. But these many years later, I'm a bit vague.
When you sort of came up with the idea of Missy, was your intention always to have her move from dark and villainous and have this path to good?
No, I don't think I had that at the beginning at all. I wanted to see what would happen if we changed the sex of a character like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's obviously it's kind of a practice run, isn't it? And whether it would work, just whether it would play, and it did. So I remember being very, very specific, unusually specific for me. It's the only part I can claim to have cast pretty much solo. Because we talked about other people, and I saw Michelle Gomez's, and I knew Michelle, name for some other part in the show. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, that's it. No arguments, that's it. That's who's going to be Missy. Which was, I think, a good choice. And then I remember I just refused to budge. Every time she came back, I said, no, she is dressed like Mary Poppins. I remember being very, very specific about that. And I think that all worked.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's genius casting. Do you have a favourite Missy line?
Oh, I had so many that I liked. I think my favourite Missy scene, in its grim way, was the one where she kills Osgood, because it's so frightening. When she say "you and me together," I probably just say something nice is pretty grisly, but that whole scene when she does the countdown and she just kills her, that was my favourite Missy moment in a sort of horrible way. 'Cause I remember thinking, oh, she's so charming, she's so funny, she makes you laugh. She's got to kill somebody nice. She's got to kill someone you care about.
Yeah, she's quite disarming in that way. Just because she's a croaky girl.
Yeah.
And so it sort of catches you off guard.
Yeah, you think she'll be soft. It's like making sure. Do you know how in Hannibal Lecter in the first film, Silence of the Lambs, he's really terrifying, and you know if the moment he steps outside of that cage, he will destroy everything. And then in the second film, he gets out of the cage and runs an art gallery. I remember one of the most disappointing developments in a movie. and from that point on, he only kills bad people. I was thinking, no, you've got to kill good people. Missy has to kill someone definitively good for no reason. Otherwise, we're just going to like Missy. You might like her anyway, but you got to know what you're liking.
Yeah, I do quite love her. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of Osgood, she is returning in a new Doctor Who project called Circuit Breaker.
Is she? Oh, brilliant.
Is this a character that you hold close to your heart still?
I love Osgood, yes. Terrific performance. I thought she was terrific. I'm really pleased to hear she's coming back. That's great.
Yeah, she's going to be with the Fugitive Doctor, having some late interactions in that way.
Cool.
It's quite exciting. Congratulations, you made it onto the leaderboard. Now, Russell actually made his own decision about how many points he would get.
All right,
so I'm
okay.
going to give you that same entitlement to give yourself the points.
How many years was the Doctor trapped in the confession dial?
Billions?
I think it was 4 billion. I'll give myself 4 billion points for that.
I'm not sure we can fit that on the screen, but we'll do a little approximation.
Okay.
4 billion points?
Yeah, 4 billion points.
You're winning. Congratulations. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me here today. Let's get a round of applause, finally. You get a proper one. You're welcome back to the Whoniverse Show whenever you like.
Oh, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of another month of the Whoniverse Show. Thanks again to Stephen for joining me in the studio and to everyone who sent in questions. As ever, keep your eyes on the Doctor Who Instagram page for your chance to submit questions for future guests. And don't forget to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.